Greetings, my fellow tinpot synths and bogged out cyberpsychos. It's me, Georg. With some more good news, the robots are coming to free you at last from the shackles of having to spread your own caviar or wipe your own floors. In fact, the robots will teach your children and sit your babies and indulge your stupid ass self while the rest of the world burns. What could possibly go wrong?
It will be an age of abundance.
It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids, it can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries.
Just be your friend, serve grace.
Recently, Tesla, the car company, not the dead guy, had a product event, I suppose you'd call it. And to sum it up, after starting 50 minutes late, apparently because of a medical emergency in the audience, thoughts and prayers, the tone of the event itself was like Christmas dinner hosted by two people who had just had a massive argument. It wasn't just that Elon, modern America's reimagining of Marcus Crassus, was underprepared. There was a palpable tension that I can't really define. At times, it was like watching someone else's anxiety dream where they realise they've got their dates mixed up and have to give a presentation on string theory to an audience of hostile mathematicians, right now. Anyway, after unveiling a two-person passenger car with no steering wheel that will redefine the way we design our cities somehow, Tesla then surprised everyone with the same thing but bigger, a self-driving bus, or I suppose truck, depending on how you deck it out. Why stop there? Let the shit come to you. Self-driving grocery stores could park outside your house, why not? Self-driving restrooms and crematorium, how convenient. Self-driving showrooms for self-driving cars. Perhaps the future of cars is you never have to go anywhere.
Now can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick!
Anyway, the word robot is kind of used as a catch-all for anything mechanical, either automatic or remote controlled. So you might describe these vehicles as robots, but also, I suppose, depending on your surplus of petulance, pedantry and time, you might also call clocks robots. In fact, I think there's some argument to be made that clocks are more robots than bomb disposal robots, because bomb disposal robots are remote controlled and clocks are doing it for themselves. But I don't think it's an argument worth having. Again. But then a real, for certain, definitely not a person wearing a motorbike helmet and vinyl paneling robot emerged. But Boston Dynamics' backflipping, tool-throwing, I didn't hear no bell, murder bot in waiting, Tesla's effort was not. And, as it turns out, it seems that only the clanky, wobbly entry of the robots, imaginatively named Optimus, was actually automatic. Even on the smooth concrete of the studio lot, their stability seemed dubious, and apparently Tesla thought so too, as they assigned a security man just to anxiously shadow them in case they fell over. It was obvious from the event and the social media bollocks posted around it that these robots were voiced by people who had just smoked a giant spliff, apparently.
So are you being remote controlled?
How's your night going, sir?
Good. I said, are you being remote controlled?
Today, I'm
Yes.
assisted by a human. I'm not yet fully autonomous.
But now it's emerged that quite a bit, if not all, of the robot's hand movements and gestures, as they laboriously sprayed soda guns into Dixie cups, were either pre-programmed or the result of teleoperation. So when the robots were pouring drinks, there was someone somewhere miming all that out, as we glimpsed in an earlier Tesla demonstration. Now, new information has emerged from Bloomberg that the robot team were given 3 weeks' notice by Elon Musk that he wanted to include them in the product event. They apparently said there wasn't enough time to bring the Optimus's programming up to a point where you'd actually want to show it off, I guess. So instead, they pantomimed what it might be able to do one day, perhaps. Elon said that one of these would be available for people to buy for $30,000, although I'm guessing he meant Euro dollars. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the idea of robots with, in quotes, AI. I think, should we ever get there, that could be a wonderful thing for helping people, a la the film Frank and Robot, where Frank Langella co-ops an automat into grand larceny. But that's not what the Autobots are or want to be. They were, rather, advertised as toys for an immoral middle class serving drinks and doing chores. I have to wonder if people who have maids and servants in all but name don't just have them to do stuff for them, just as I have to wonder if going to fancy restaurants isn't just about the dinner. Sure, you could get a robot, but it's just not the same to boss around as a Filipino lady who lives in your basement and hasn't seen her own kids in 12 years because she's too busy raising yours, for $12,000 a year. I think the driver for people to want staff isn't necessarily efficiency, but perhaps something a little bit darker. Not that I wouldn't gladly hurl abuse at these useless slag heaps. This got me thinking about the economic implications of all the promises. If a robot, this robot, could one day babysit your kids, it could probably do anything you and I can do. If they really cost less, or about $30,000, how can anyone escape redundancy? Even in Ghana, one of these robots potentially costs about 6 years of average income. So if they last for more than 6 years, are they going to be doing all the work in Ghana? Is everyone, everywhere, going to be out of a job? Is all the wealth in the world going to be funneled to the early few who bought and leased robots like these? Won't this lead to a collapse of demand if no one has a job? And then, wouldn't that in turn make the wealth and the power of the elite kind of moot? Similar thoughts have been voiced at various increments in industrial history. What will we do all day now that we have the internet, computers, factories, electricity, machines? Even if this all worked out, wouldn't this lock people into their social class forever? Do robots maintain and clean the robots? Really, like the innovations before, a mass rollout of worker bots wouldn't free the worker from their grind, but rather enhance productivity for the benefit of the owners. But really, that's all fantasy anyway. Robots with AI, enough of it to both legally and just practically care for their little kiddies, is quite a way away. The Tesla event made it seem that way at least. There's an incredible amount of vested interest in AI, and it's not especially easy to cut through the hype and see how, really, truly close we are to robots diligently cracking our underpants with the smeg hammer before neatly arranging them by cotton content. So, as I watched robots dance without moving their legs in a way I can only dream of, I started to wonder if the real plan with the Autobots is to continually move the release date back from 2026 to just 12 more months for the next decade or so. But then, mesmerized by the motions, I began to realize where this might be going. You may recall, you may not, I don't know you, and I don't know how much you've had to drink, that Amazon, the evil corporation, not the river, experimented with stores where customers could, after registering, just pick things up and walk out. The idea was that a vast array of cameras would track what people took and just charge them for it as they left without the need for any unexpected items in the baggage area, or having to talk to someone. But Amazon decided to transition away from that to an easier to monitor cart system because they just couldn't get the technology right. They employed over 1,000 people in India to watch and review cameras and correct constant errors. As reported by Vice and Motherboard, companies in the US can pay as little as $400 a month to have their CCTV continuously monitored 24 hours a day by someone in India. You see where I'm going with this, right? And if I've had this idea, someone in the AI race must have had this idea too. I wouldn't say it's a prediction, but a prediction of a possibility. In between full iRobot AI and possibly the real product anyway, remotely assisted robots, operated by people in somewhere like India, making $100 a month out of a $400 subscription. Presumably, there'd be huge sweatshops of teleoperation booths. If you really want to go for it, take a page from Steve Bannon and jam in some bunk beds and some buckets, and no one even needs to leave, and you can pay them even less. You retain the human element, so people can feel important and have someone to talk down to, And you can outsource service to poor people without them even having to come here, without them having to be housed, no H-1B slave visa necessary, and the clients, in the sports jackets and loafers, don't even have to see their tatty clothes, and don't even have to deny to themselves the truly exploitative nature of their own feculent existences. It's the most evil thing I've ever heard of today. Besides that, I have an inkling that AI, or something kind of like AI, when it first gets into a robot, it's not going to be a butler bot. It's going to be something a lot less human looking and a lot more combat effective. But who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, I suppose we might need a bigger magnet. Like really big. Like that big. It doesn't sound very big, but for magnets that is big. Heavy. You know. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you do pop in again. Don't forget to subscribe. The thing about big magnets as well, you've got to think about mounting them. Logistical implication there. And why not check out my Patreon and some of the other hundreds of videos that I've made over the years. You know, and then does it need an electric current as well? Thanks very much, and see you then. Another thing that people can forget about magnets is that if you have metal in you, well, people understand, like, oh, if you have metal in you, like, oh, don't go near a magnet if you've got, like, a metal leg or anything. But a lot of people don't realize is that it can also be affected by iron that you're eating. Because there was this guy, all right, I think his name was Magneto.